5 items strongly. They said these are the concerns of the general public that they are drumming home and insisting that a minister will deal with them before they can pass the budget.
Based on your experiences and what you're picking up, what could be the implications if the document that, as it is now, was rejected, is relayed in the same form?
Well, the indication we pick is that, yes, indeed, my majority is going to file a motion come Tuesday, and the motion will be to simply overturn the rejection that happened on Friday. That motion, I am not too sure who is going to be filing the motion, but I strongly suspect it will be the majority leader or probably his deputy, and then they would go ahead and advance the argument. But then the form it is going to take already as of Friday, from my own observation, they did not have all their members in the House on Friday. The minority, as per the counting, the official records from the table office or the clerks, did indicate they were 137. When the majority walked out, there was no indication as to whether they were also 137, but they had a lot of their members in the House. The numbers are going to play this time around, and if the numbers will play and it will be 137, that is where there is going to be an issue. But then the motion need to be moved first. The Speaker will have to admit the motion, and if the Speaker admits the motion, then the argument will go for it or against it. But as to also whether the minority will partake in it, but from the release, I strongly suspect the minority is not going to give any sort of credence to this at all.
But we do know that officially the Speaker has traveled. How could that have an implication on the numbers when they resume on Tuesday?
The numbers, I mean, it's 137 plus one independent. The independent is the second deputy speaker who has decided to sit and do business with the MPP. Now, if now that Speaker Bagman is out of town for 10 days, we are told, on a medical leave, then the first deputy speaker, Joe Osei, will be the one to sit and chair the proceedings. If he chairs, assuming that the NPP side has 137 and then the NDC side also has 137. As it stands, Joe Osei adds up to be 137. Joe Osei does not have a voting right if he presides over it. So it will mean that the NPP side would have 136 plus an independent, and that would be 137. The NDC side also have 137. If the numbers are going to play, you can do the permutations yourself. It clearly will tell you that it is hung. The more reason, well, if you listen to or if you read carefully the wordings of the minority statement, it said the NPP majority should appreciate that this is a new parliament, a hanged parliament. Those days of the NPP majority bullying and disrespecting an insignificant minority because of the overwhelming majority numbers are over. The NPP government should rather concentrate on bringing a revised budget that will, among others, address the 5, so to speak, themes that they have outlined in the budget. So the numbers surely will play. If the numbers play, then, well, we could be in for some long haul again as to whether they are going to go by some other standing orders in the House.
Komla Kluche, they're keeping tabs on what's happening in Parliament. He's our lead parliamentary correspondent, has all the news in terms of the feedback he's picking. Those in both sides of the leadership, both the majority and minority, as he interacts with key members and also get to know what their minds are. And Aisha promises to be quite exciting. And TV3, we will be right there to give all the latest updates.
And you can bet on that. But we are still staying with Parliament as the House over the years has come under attack from sections of the public for not exercising its oversight responsibility and thus becoming weak over time. While enjoying a relatively wider scope of privileges and immunity, MPs have often been criticized for not doing what people they represent want them to. However, many constituents appear to have so much trust in the current Parliament. Evelyn Tingma has been finding out why.
The 1992 Constitution gave Parliament a huge oversight responsibility as well as lots of power to carry out its functions. It has also been equipped with political power to back its oversight and can, for instance, remove the President, Vice President and censure ministers. In spite of these powers, many have argued that the legislature has not developed into that autonomous, independent and vital institution capable of asserting its authority as the executive continues to interfere through the appointment of more than half of ministers of state from the legislature. And these appointees do the bidding of government in the House. The current Parliament, however, according to some citizens, seems to be doing better in exerting a few of its powers.
I want to clearly direct that what the minister has released is an empty boast. Therefore, I call on him to honorably withdraw that directive.
The 8th Parliament seems to be attracting a lot more attention to itself, and as a result, we have seen individuals and groups or organizations presenting petitions to the House to investigate certain matters. Well, there have also been some directives here and there by the Speaker. Well, some people will argue that the House is becoming too powerful, and we ask, is that the role of the august House or not? Governance expert Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah says for nearly 30 years of Ghana's Fourth Republic, directives have not been given to the executive like now.
Even with the separation of powers theory, I'm not too sure whether the head of one institution can direct a member of another institution. So these are very interesting developments that we are having. And I think it's healthy. I think Mr. Bagman is pushing some issues that hitherto we've never considered.
The standoff between the police and Parliament in the case of Madina MP Francis Xavier Sosu is one test case. The House and the Attorney General case on the admission of the 499 law students is another. The Office of the Attorney General said Parliament's directive to have the AG admit the students was unlawful, but the minority threatened to censure the minister. The students were later admitted anyway. Some have said that the close numbers between the two caucuses in the House could be the reason the 8th Parliament appears to be different.
It's a very close Parliament, so the minority feels emboldened. But I think overall, that spirit is good. Whether as a result the public will continue, should now have more confidence in Parliament, we would live to see.
The challenges of this country, unfortunately, 70% in my view is coming from a weak Parliament. And pray that one day we'll kind of like we got this speaker. I really wish we had the 138 and they are 137. People think that it will be abusive, then the minority will virtually run the government down. No, I think the government will be more careful.
For governance expert Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah, the House indeed is becoming powerful.
We have a strong feeling that the executive is too strong and therefore Parliament has been weakened. I think we're on the right course.
One can only hope the legislature will continue with the trend and do the bidding of the people who voted them into power. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News, Accra.
And all that said, again, Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah is asking the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagben, to tread carefully with his attempt to seek parity among the three arms of government. He tells TV3 if that is what the Speaker expects, then he should rather seek an amendment of the Constitution, as the current one gives the executive more powers than the other two arms of government. Now, he again interacted with Evelyn Tingma.
Professor Bafo Agyemang-Duah says the Speaker of Parliament's assertiveness is what is bringing back life to the legislature as it has been weakened over the years. He applauded the Speaker for promoting a stronger Parliament, but asked him to tread carefully even as he seeks parity among the three arms of government.
Between the executive, the legislature and the judiciary, there is theoretically what we deem to be a balanced power. So in that respect, there is that kind of equality. So on that basis, I think he's been making certain assumptions, such as he can remove the president, but the president cannot remove him. He must tread carefully, because the Constitution as we have it seems to have empowered the executive over the two other branches. We have created what one may call an imperial presidency, which seems to subordinate all the other branches of government.
The former senior special advisor to the United Nations in Liberia charged the Speaker to lead the way to have the Constitution amended instead, so that the equitable powers he is seeking can reflect in the Constitution.
Previously, when speakers came from the ruling party, we never saw this kind of energy coming from the Speaker's office or the Speaker himself. And I think the Speaker being there for all these years, he knows what he's talking about. And he must also know that the problem comes from the Constitution that has literally given powers, almost all powers, to the executive. That's